classified as a first felony offender. Offense, forcible rape. Sentencing date, March 26, 1997. Sentence to 40 years hard labor. Parole date is discretion of the board. Good time is October 2nd, 2026. Full term is June 10th, 2036. Is this information correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Marabella.
Thank you very much. Ms. Hill, my name is Tony Marabella. Your case was assigned to me. I'll be asking you a few questions this morning. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ms. Hill, how old are you currently?
I just turned 54 this
And
month.
how long have you been in prison this time?
4 years.
And you were paroled out on the rape charge, how many years ago?
Well, I got out August 27th of 15.
August of 2015. And why did you go back? Why are you back in prison?
They said I moved. I had moved from the address that I had paroled to. I had my house.
Okay, were you taking sex offender classes?
Yes, sir.
Is that part of the problem why you got revoked? Because you didn't finish your classes?
I didn't finish the classes because I didn't have the money to. Lady who ran the halfway house, she had told me the stuff that she was going to help me with, but she didn't do it.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit, Ms. Hill, about your drug and alcohol use. I look at your record. You've got a lot of history of drugs and alcohol. When did you start drinking alcohol?
It was at the age of 17.
And how long did you drink alcohol before you ultimately went to prison in 1996?
That's when I was accused of the charge.
Okay, well, how long did you drink alcohol?
From 17 until I went to prison when I was 29.
And how often would you drink?
I would drink every day.
And what would you drink?
I would drink beer, wine.
Fair to say whatever you could get your hands on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. How about drugs?
Well, I tried weed and then I tried crack cocaine, and I didn't like the crack cocaine.
Were you using drugs also at the time of your arrest?
No, sir.
How long did you smoke marijuana? How long did you use crack cocaine?
Okay, I used crack cocaine after when I was in a relationship with this guy that I had my kids by.
That's Michael Caine?
No, sir.
Someone else, okay. And how long did you use crack cocaine?
Until I got arrested.
Okay. So it's fair to say that at the time you were arrested, you were using both crack cocaine and alcohol.
Yes, sir.
Are you an alcoholic?
I can say I am, but since I've been in here, I haven't had no cravings of it.
Understand that. But have you taken classes about alcoholism?
No.
No classes whatsoever? You haven't taken any substance abuse classes that deal directly with alcohol?
No, sir.
How about substance abuse classes? Have you taken any substance abuse classes that deal with drugs and how to stay off of drugs?
Well, the reentry class that we had here, that I took it.
Okay. Have you taken any AA or NA meeting classes?
I don't think they have that here.
Are you familiar with the 12 steps at all?
Recover.
You took Celebrate Recovery?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you familiar with the 12 steps?
Some of them.
Have you ever gone to AA meetings when you were out of prison?
I went to 2 meetings. I went on my own.
How do you intend to stay away from alcohol?
I'm gonna have to stay away from alcohol because that's the problem. It brought me back here.
I agree with you. So my question to you is, what is your plan to be able to stay away from alcohol?
I'm gonna go to support groups, and if I have to go to the AA meetings, whatever meetings I can get to, I'm gonna go to.
What's going to keep you off crack cocaine?
I'm not gonna go around the people who do it, and I have the ability to stay off of it.
Tell me how you have the ability to stay off of it.
By not putting myself in bad situations with people who do it.
You haven't been able to do that yet. Why should I believe that you'll be able to do that now without a specific plan to be in place?
I can do it.
I believe you can. I believe with the proper education and the proper support, you probably can. But I'm trying to ask you to tell me what that support is, what that plan is.
My family. I have family support.
Tell me what programs you've taken in prison since you've been there this time.
Okay, I did Celebrate and Recover. I went to anger management.
Okay.
What's the other thing?
Have you completed the 4 phases of sex offender treatment?
Well, they had stopped the class because of the corona, but we started back up. And I've been.
So what phase are you in?
They started all over.
What phase? So you're in the beginning phase?
Yeah, they started all over again.
Ms. Hill, tell me, from the time you've been in prison until today, tell me what you have learned, what you have thought about, what your consequences, the consequences of your actions, what that did to your daughter.
What it have did to my daughter was when I came back to prison, that I let her down.
I'm talking about the crime itself. I'm talking about your 8-year-old daughter when you were high as a kite and you let a man rape her.
I didn't know.
Tell me what you've thought about that.
I think about every day the hurt and pain that she went through, and I have to live this here every day of my life. When I wake up in the morning, when I lay down, I think about her. It hurts me. It hurts me now. It's gonna always hurt me.
What sex offender programs have you taken since your arrest?
The sex offender class that I'm going to now.
So that's the only sex offender class or program that you've taken?
Yes, sir. That's the only one they have here. Did you take
I understand.
I took it while I was out on the street.
I'm sorry?
I took the sex offender class while I was out on the street. I was going twice a week, twice a month.
Where will you be living if you are paroled?
Well, I'm planning on going to New Orleans, but I want to go up there where my daughter Rhonda at.
Rhonda is not your daughter that was the victim in this case, is she?
No, sir.
Do you have any contact with that daughter at all?
No, sir.
Do you know where she is?
No, sir.
Have you had any contact with her since this offense?
No, sir.
What kind of work will you be doing?
I can do housekeeping, whatever work I can find. If I have to work at Popeyes, McDonald's, whatever I have to do to stay out of prison.
What happens when you get out and you can't find a job and things go bad and you want to have a drink or you want to get back on drugs? What's going to keep you from doing that? What is how can I be sure you're not going to go back to that?
Because I'm going to have support. I'm going to have a sponsor. This means I'm going to go to the meetings so I can have a sponsor. Well, if I...
You told me you've gone to 2 AA meetings in your life. Why haven't you gone to more? Why haven't you done that when you got out the last time?
Because I didn't have the support. The lady that I parole out to, I thought maybe she was going to help me out. But
so you're talking about your parole supervisor?
No, the halfway house that I had went to, the lady Deborah Kennedy, that
right.
Yeah.
What didn't she do for you?
She didn't take me, show me the places to go to, like some of the meetings, different, places where when offenders get out, that they need help at.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. I know you've got some good letters of support. Can you tell us something about Ms. Hill?
Me?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry.
She has not been a problem. She's been here. She has taken classes. She's earned over 360 days of credits. It hadn't been applied, but she's earned them.
How much longer will it take her to finish all phases of the sex offender program?
It's usually about a year to finish the whole program.
Okay.
But I have to check with Dr. Hanser to see, what he says. He's the one that's taking care
I understand. Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, that's all the questions I have.
Okay, Mr. Roche has a question.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Hill, good morning.
Good morning.
Mr. Marabella asked you a question, and you didn't answer that question. The question was, what effects do you think that you gave your daughter to a man for drugs? That man raped her. You told Mr. Marabella how you felt about it, how you think about it every day, but how do you think that affected the rest of your daughter's life?
It affected the rest of my daughter's life because she was traumatized by it. And I imagine she's having problems right now. When she wake up, she think about it. And I'm the one at fault. Because if I didn't have her with me that night, they wouldn't have happened.
Ms. Hill, So the last time you had any contact with that daughter was 20 plus years. Am I correct?
That's when she came and visited me in St. Gabriel.
And when was that?
Back in 98.
So 23 years ago.
Yes, sir.
That tells you that your daughter is still mentally, physically, and emotionally affected by that one event. It's probably dictating what her lifestyle is because you made one of the most horrendous decisions a mother could ever make. How does a mother do that? You don't have to answer that. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. At this time, Ms. Rhonda Hill, anything you'd like to say on your mother's behalf?
Yes, I would like to say I am my mother's strongest support system. I am her oldest daughter. I am willing and able to support her around being successful in AA meetings. I have material for her if, she is paroled out either to myself or either to a halfway house. I am a nurse. I've been a nurse for the last 17 years. So I'm able and willing to give her all of the support that she needs. We have spoken about, her taking ownership, which she has taken ownership for the events that surrounded my sister Brenda and herself when she was on alcohol and also on drugs. Myself, I'm the only sibling. My sister Brenda and my baby sister Betty, their life is surrounding alcohol and drugs right now. So I am willing and able to give my mom all the support that she needs. And she understands what her red flags are. She understands what her triggers are, And so like I told her, once she's granted parole, she has to just focus on herself, not thinking about a man or anything else, but just on her program. So I am willing to give her all of the support that she needs in order to be successful for re-entry into the community.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hill. At
Thank you.
this time,
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Roche? Okay, go ahead.
Ms. Rhonda Hill. Ms. Hill? Ms. Hill, the daughter. Would you unmute your mic? Do you happen to know where the victim is presently?
Yes, I do.
Is she doing well?
She's not doing well. She actually lived with me. I have custody of all three of her children right now. I moved her from New Orleans in Kenner, Louisiana, to Texas. She lived with me for about 4 years, and so, now she lives a life, which she has been since the age of about 13. She ran away from my aunt, so she's in alcohol, and so she's also in drugs, but she had the chance to change her life. I offered to pay to put her into counseling. She didn't want to do counseling. She was supposed to meet me at the therapist's office, called me, told me she was on her way. She never showed up.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, at this time, Ms. Bertha Hill, anything you'd like to say to the board before we vote?
Yes. I have paid for this. I'm gonna pay for it the rest of my life. And I do have regret that it happened. This is gonna be a nightmare that I have to carry the rest of my life.
Okay. If nothing else, at this time, Mr. Tony Marabella will be voting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Hill, Ms. Bertha Hill, I want to say that you are very lucky to have a daughter like Miss Rhonda Hill, who speaks up for you and who is there for you and who is trying to do her very best to help you out. Not only has she helped you, she's also helped your other daughter who was the victim in this case. And Ms. Rhonda Hill, I want to commend you for that. And I understand you came here with love and nothing but hope for your mother. And I do appreciate that. Ms. Bertha Hill, I listen to you as I speak with you, and I see what I believe to be and what my experience tells me is the words of an alcoholic and a drug addict. You're blaming the lady who was the halfway house person. She didn't show you where to go to the meeting. She didn't do that. I do not believe you have enough education on substance abuse to be able to stay clean and sober, both alcohol and drugs, from what you describe and from what you said. And I'm not a doctor and I'm not a counselor, so I can't say that, but I truly believe you are an alcoholic. And until you admit that, you're going to continue to have problems. The same with the drugs. You need a lot of help. You need some substance abuse treatment. You need some substance abuse education. Your daughter talked about triggers. I didn't hear you say anything about your triggers. I kept asking you. I mean, you told me I'll go to meetings. I've been to 2 AA meetings in my life. You just don't have a proper plan yet. And I'm very concerned about that from the substance abuse angle. From the sex offender angle, you need to take all 4 of those sex offender courses. And throughout, in taking those courses, I hope you come to understand and realize really the pain that you have caused to the victim in this case. You keep saying, I regret. I don't know what you regret other than the fact that you're in prison. So I really do believe you need to come to some awareness of that. Look into yourself to be able to recognize that. You've committed a horrible crime. That doesn't mean that you can't accept that, you can't get over that, and can't understand and continue to deal with that. My theory is if I vote to let you out today, you'll be back here again in 6 months. So my vote today is to deny your parole with the recommendation that you complete the sex offender program, you take some good substance abuse programs and some victim awareness programs, and once you complete those programs, reapply again. And if I'm on the board at that time, I would likely vote to grant, especially since your daughter is so willing to help you. But you need to help yourself. So that's my vote, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Marabella. Mr. Alvin Roche.
Ms. Hill, I echo every word that Mr. Marabella has said. My vote is to deny based on the same reasons. And after you complete additional substance abuse and sex offender treatment, and I'm sitting on your panel, and you've completed all of those, I probably will vote for you because of the support of your daughter. But as Mr. Marabella said, you gotta help yourself first. You've been incarcerated a very long time and you haven't taken the necessary rehabilitative programs. Mr. Wise.
Thank you very much. Ms. Hill, Rhonda Hill, I want to say this. I appreciate what you're doing. A lot of people, family members wouldn't do what you are doing. And I want to say that personally. I think I can say it for each member on this board. We don't see a lot of people come up and stand where you stand. All right, today, Ms. Bertha Hill, today I'm going to be voting to deny with the same as my colleagues is. Get in there and work hard and write back to this board. Get in there and work hard and complete the programs Mr. Marabella had spoke with you about, okay? Thank you very much. That concludes our hearings today at it's 11:05 a.m. We'll thank each and every one of y'all today. Thank you.
So you might be saying to yourself right now, this case seems really familiar. And the reason, if you are saying that, is because we actually covered her second hearing already. We covered it about, 6 months ago. And so maybe you're familiar with it. We have about 225,000 views on this hearing, so there's a good chance you've seen it. But it's only about 10 minutes long, so I think it'd be worthwhile to record it again, just so you can hear the difference between hearing 1 and hearing 2, and then I can unpack it for you. If you've already seen it, you can, of course, you don't need to see it again. You can move to the end or whatever it is that you want to do. But thank you, Richard, for tying these together. And with that, let's jump in.
Yes, sir.
You've been in prison approximately 40 years, is that right? Or how many years?
40.
40 years, okay. You've been in prison, you're serving 40 years, you've been in prison about 27 years, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're classified as a low risk, you've got high needs, substance abuse, mental health, and you have some significant medical issues, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, we have read the facts of the case. The facts of your case are pretty significant. It's my understanding you were a drug addict. You are a drug addict, and at the time were addicted to cocaine and other substances. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that led you to selling, for lack of a better term, your 8-year-old daughter to a drug dealer. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You've taken a number of programs, I see, while you've been in there. You have a mental health level of 3, which is a severe mental health illness. You've been evaluated by a disciplinary team. Doctor, perhaps you could give us some insight. We have seen both videos, video that you gave us, as well as video of the ability of Ms. Hill. Bring us up to date, if you would, for the record, on her medical issues.
Yes, sir. Medically, she was diagnosed with stage 4 colorectal cancer, rectal cancer. She has a very large rectal mass that has invaded through the rectal wall. She does have metastases that are located both in the lymph nodes and possibly also some areas in her lung. She is currently undergoing chemotherapy every 3 weeks. Right now, she is following up with colorectal surgery, also as well as with oncology, and hopefully soon they will be starting radiation oncology as well to try to help save her life. It is a pretty significant, life-threatening cancer that she has right now. She also underwent a diverting colostomy in order to prevent obstruction. Several weeks ago, she was healed well from that and doing well with a colostomy in place, but she's still pretty sick and still with quite a fight ahead.
What about her mobility, her ability to get around? And
she's able to walk and able to take care of herself somewhat, does need assistance. The biggest issue for mobility is hurt, significant pain.
with the mass as big as hers is, trying to move around causes issues. So she is more bedbound than not.
Is there a prognosis that you might be able to share with us in terms of where she'll be in the near future?
You're saying physically wise, or?
Yes, physical wise first, and anything else you can share with us.
Okay. Life expectancy, it's definitely hard to put an exact date or anything on it. I can tell you without the treatment, months maybe. With the treatment, we may extend it. Okay.
What would be your recommendation as to where she would go if this board were to give her a medical parole?
If she is granted parole, we do have it set up for her to go to a nursing home, the Villa in Baton Rouge, Jackson, Louisiana, which would also help provide care for her, as well as get her to her appointments and everything that she would need.
One of the things I believe that I would be remiss in not asking is, obviously she was a drug addict. Is this medication that she's taking, are there precautions to make sure that she doesn't get back on drugs, et cetera? I mean, if she's at the Villa, can we be fairly confident that she's unlikely to be able to get any illicit drugs?
I mean, I believe so. You know, it's a healthcare facility, much like we're treated, you know, here as well. Is that yes, we're.
What about her mental ability? Do you have any information for us on her mental health? I see that she's at a mental health level 3, which is a severe mental illness. Can you share any information with us about that?
I mean, as long as she's been here, she's been taking her medications and it's been very stable. And as long as we continue the medication, yes, feel like it'll be the same. She'll continue.
And I've read the letters and the recommendations, and it's likewise your recommendation that she be treated at the Villa?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That we can.
Board, any comments? Any additional information you'd like to give us?
No, I mean, I can just add, you know, she recently transferred obviously to us from another institution in February. So she has been living in our infirmary care because she did transfer, obviously due to these medical issues. And we started treatment with her. We have been in contact with Villa, so they are aware of, you know, the care that she'll need. And just due to her charge, they're also, you know, they've been informed of that as well, and they don't have any issues from that.
Any questions? Ms. Hill, is there anything you'd like to say before the board votes?
No, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Hill. I'll vote first. Considering the offense that you committed and the basis, or I guess the reason, what was going on in your life back 27 years ago, the length of time that you've served in custody, your institutional contact, it doesn't appear from all of the records that you are at risk to yourself or anyone else. In a medical assessment of your condition has been verified by all of our disciplinary medical staff, suggesting that we grant a medical parole. It would be my vote to grant a medical parole to the Villa, recommended by the medical staff and the disciplinary staff there. So that would be my vote. Ms. Jackson. I'm sorry, I think we do have a speaker. Ms. Rhonda Hill, I'm sorry. Would you like to say anything?
Yes, I would. I am the oldest of my mom's 3 daughters. My first visit seeing her physically was this March. It was my first time in 36 years, since I was 6 years old. I am in support of her getting the medical parole to the Villa. I have been out to visit the Villa. I have been in constant contact with the coordinator at that facility. And I am just, willing to support my mom in any area. I have been flying in and out of Texas to Baton Rouge, so me and my family collectively, we are in support of her. Anything that she should need. I am a registered nurse. The medical history, is just really hard, right now. I have custody of the victim's 3 children, which is my middle sister, so it's just a lot. But as the oldest, I am willing to give her all of the support that she would need in order to be a productive citizen in society. She has taken full responsibility and accountability because that's very important to me. To the charges that she was charged with in her past, and so I'm looking forward to helping her, continue her 12 steps, continue her program. And so that's all that I ask, if the board would really consider granting her a medical release to the facility.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hill. She's very lucky to have you. Thank you for your discussion here with us, and thank you for your support of your mother. My vote, I will continue with my vote and to grant the medical parole. Ms. Jackson?
My vote is the same, Ms. Hill, due to your medical issues and the fact that the victim in this case is in favor of your being granted relief. But obviously she had some issues as a result of what's happened to her in her life, which is why your other daughter has to take care of the 3 children, which is very unfortunate. But in light of your medical circumstances and the victim not being opposed, my vote would be to grant to the villa.
Sorry.
Okay.
Ms. Wise?
Yes, Ms. Hill, I'm just grateful that you had the support that you have from your family. You do have a letter of recommendation from one of the officers in the file. That was very good to see. You completed substance abuse and sex offender treatment while you did LTCW. So, you have that information. You know what you have to do. Best wishes to you. My vote is to grant as well, conditionally to a nursing home.
Thank you very much. Ms. Hill, you received 3 votes to grant your medical parole to the facility at the villa. And good luck to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, there you have it. They didn't really go into the details of the crime, and this was, I'm pretty much predetermined because of her health, right? How do you feel about her getting out? It's certainly, she's at end of life, and what sounds to be in a remarkably, incredibly painful, some might call karmaistic type of pain, or way to go. I didn't realize from the first hearing, because again, this was the first time I saw the first hearing, that she actually was paroled, if you can imagine that. And then she violated her parole by not following registration, which is just mind blowing to think that you're backing, I'm guessing at the time, maybe 20 something years more to your sentence. All you have to do are follow the rules, and you can't do it. So you get locked back up. And I didn't realize that. And, there's a big difference. You have Mr. O'Shea on the first hearing, and Mr. O'Shea points out, make sure to get a statement, and it was sad hearing from her sister, who has custody of her other sister's 3 children, but also, in a sense, a shining light and a blessing, and to hear that she is doing, how incredible her daughter is, that we saw show up twice, is doing, having it seem to thrive against all odds and to be so resilient and successful. That's remarkable, but also, I guess, amplifies the trauma that her other sister is doing so poorly. Now, you know, the facts of the case were that Bertha, her mom, had pled guilty to forcible sexual assault of her 8-year-old daughter after agreeing to the imposition of a 40-year sentence, 20 years of which would be served without the benefit, and the explicit understanding that she would be able to appeal the latter portion of the sentence. After the denial of a timely motion of reconsideration and in accordance with the plea agreement, the defendant appeals. So they go through the facts of the case. At Bossier City Motel on January 13, 1996, defendant agreed to have sex with Michael Keene for the price of $10. When the highly intoxicated defendant's body odor proved too overwhelming for Keene, she indicated that he would have that he could have relations with her daughter. Now, last time, and you may remember this, when I unpacked the hearing, I misunderstood this. I thought that he smelled poorly, so she made her daughter. But what it was is that he was like, "Wait a minute, you know, I'll pay you $10," and he's like, "Oh man, you need to take a bath." So she's like, "Oh, just do it with my daughter. Give me the $10," which is just, you know, and even hearing her talk about the offense, what did she say? She said, "If my daughter was never there, it wouldn't have happened." And it's like, that's really what the best you can come up with? If my daughter wasn't there, it wouldn't have happened. It's like, after all these years, you still don't get the sense that she actually has remorse. I didn't get that sense. I didn't get the sense. Like, how is that the best that you can say? If she wasn't there, it wouldn't have happened. After Hill instructed the girl to have sex with Kane and exited the room, he engaged in sexual intercourse with the child. The state initially arraigned the defendant as principal to aggravated sexual assault, but reduced the charge to forcible sexual assault in a plea agreement, setting forth that Hill will be sentenced to 40 years, with 20 years to be served without benefit of parole, probation, or suspension. Prior to the acceptance of the guilty plea, the defendant's attorney stated that the record that Hill desired to reserve the right to appeal the 20-year portion, although the court allowed the provision, he acquiesced. And her, if I remember correctly, her co-defendant, if you want to call him that, I guess it wasn't technically a co-defendant, but he received life. Both sentencing caps agreements. And I believe he passed away in prison, if I remember correctly. But her plea was denied, but she ended up getting parole anyways, right? But, oh wait, it was reversed, vacated, and remanded. Let me see if we can. Defendant's decision to plead guilty included the right to appeal the last of her sentence because that causes contrary to the specific statutory law and would violate a rule of public policy about the held. Plea agreement is absolutely null. That being so, the plea is set aside. Accordingly, we reverse the conviction and sentence of the trial court, vacate the plea, and remand the case for further proceedings. So I'm not sure if they had a follow-up or what that was, but either way, we know the result is that she was able to get at least paroled after 20, which seems to be what we saw anyways, and she blew it regardless. But yeah, I mean, drugs can make people do insane things, right? Things that just make no sense. And the problem again with this is that it's not just what she did while on it. It's just even seeing the hearings. You're missing. You know, there's a reason not everyone who does drugs would even as far gone as they get would do that, right? It's your 8-year-old daughter for $10. There goes my dryer again. Who designs these things? Let me make this obnoxious bing sound that goes on and on and on. Really? Whose brilliant idea was it to make it go dee 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 dee? Now, I guess why would anyone care? It's not like everyone has their office right outside their dryer, but I do. Anyways, It's just hard to understand how you can't even, it seemed to me, fake the remorse. But there's some people are just wired differently. And that's what we've seen in these Louisiana parole hearings. We are not all wired the same. And it's might not believe it if you didn't see it, but thank you, Richard, for tying these together. And with that, I'll let you go.